Okay, doing this video from inside because as a Californian, if it's windy and below 70 degrees, we're freezing. So go figure. Anyway, today is video 12 of 16 in a series titled Your Own Personal Jesus. If Jesus was divine, that is to say the perfect human, then in theory, he should embody the best of all 16 types. Right now, we are considering Jesus as an ENTP. Kind of crazy, huh? Well, let's see. So, number one, Jesus was indeed a visionary thinker. He envisioned a future that broke from traditional Jewish teachings. He introduced a radical concept of love and forgiveness that was unexpected and generally unwelcome by the Jewish religious leaders of his time and misunderstood by the Roman leaders over them all at the time. He used parables and metaphors to express his unique intuitive understanding of the human condition and of the nature of the divine. And this often challenged existing norms and understandings of God as like an angry judge. Jesus' conception of God was very different. And I think, this message was powerful enough to continue and endure on through today, over 2,000 years later. It was also strong enough to elicit a response that cost him his earthly, at least, life. So, number two, moving on, Jesus was an excellent communicator. I think this is underrated, if such a thing can be true about Jesus. His way of speaking, as recorded in the Gospels, is really underrated. From teaching in the temple as a young boy, Jesus was known for a sharp and charismatic mind, communication skills, expertly engaging with his listeners, and perhaps more importantly, his critics. He engaged in stimulating conversation and unique and refreshing thoughts that really demonstrate to me the ENTP quality of intellectual sparring. If you read the Gospels and his interactions with the Pharisees and Sadducees, and they try to catch him in double binding questions, where if you answer this way, you're wrong. If you answer that way, you're wrong in a different way. Jesus always found a way out that perplexed his critics and frustrated them to no end. Number three, Jesus was adaptable and open-minded. In spite of his own convictions, Jesus showcased an open-minded, perceptive personality, employing flexibility and adaptive skills, not only in his conversations, but in his actions. He actually embraced uncertainty in a way that most religious leaders don't. He really would go with the flow. You see things happen, and his disciples would say, "Hey, wait, this wasn't planned." Jesus would say, "Go, it's okay." It's like the wind. Sometimes things aren't planned. You have to just go with them. I think his personality is reminiscent of ENTPs in the way of being tolerant of unique viewpoints, meeting people where they're at and engaging with them in conversation, and adapting to the circumstances as he goes along. I would say this is my bonus point about Jesus in this type. I've never heard of Jesus being typed in ENTP, and perhaps I never will. But I want you to think about one such religious person who was typed as an ENTP. He was an original thinker, a Greek, very good person, revolutionary religious ideas. He believed in one God when his contemporaries were pluralistic, that is, believing in lots of gods. And he gained a following, and he was beloved but also hated, and he eventually had to drink poison, a form of suicide inflicted upon him by his rulers. This philosopher's name was Socrates, and Socrates is always typed as an ENTP, and nobody disputes it. When you think about that and think about the parallels of Socrates' life to Jesus, maybe ENTP isn't too crazy of a typing after all. That's all I got for today. Tomorrow we're doing TE leads, ESTJ and ENTJ for Jesus. And until then, peace out.